with the guy who wants us dead, figuratively. Figuratively, he wants journalism dead.
That was the gaslighting mainstream media minutes before a deranged individual rushed the White House Correspondents' dinner on Saturday. But the real show was the hypocritical pivots on full display. I'm talking full Trump bashing minutes before to full amnesia minutes later from politicians and the media. But we've got the receipts right here on the Mega Beak. Roll the tape.
I will not go this year. I am not going to go this year because I won't grace him with my presence.
Having Donald Trump speak at the White House Correspondents' dinner where the free press is honored is like having a cannibal host a vegan event.
Yeah. This is why this Saturday I will again not be. But for reasons that are not clear to me, many others will.
So this is a special freedom of the press and freedom of speech caucus bill.
What's it say?
There are a bunch of us that are going to be wearing these. These are from the Reporters Committee for the Free Press.
Surely not having Colbert and the staff from The View there really broke everybody's heart, and I'm sure Jake's little handkerchief really made a statement, but the press even went so far as to say they wanted to stage a walkout.
At the same time, though, talking about a president who used to boycott this dinner, and now you have some veteran journalists on the outside telling journalists they should boycott this, that we should not be here.
So days and days of gaslighting prior to the event, and then moments after the incident, full amnesia, like the biggest hypocritical pivot you've ever seen in the span of an hour. And I'm going to bring you that in just a second. But the award for the most hyperbolic of the evening goes to CNN. Check this out.
I'm real bummed about tonight. Because here's what's happening tonight. Journalism is throwing a party. Journalism is celebrating journalism at this party. Journalism, for some reason, invited Brendan Carr, FCC chair, who is threatening to revoke the licenses of broadcast networks, Pete Hegseth, who removed journalists from the Pentagon, and Donald Trump, who attacks us on the regular. Now, they're giving Donald Trump a speaking position to roast us to our faces for an hour. And he doesn't have to stay for the part where we celebrate journalism and give out awards to journalists and talk about the importance of free speech. And you just heard Brian Stelter say that the Correspondents Association was trying to sort of mend some fences with the guy who wants us dead, figuratively. Figuratively, he wants journalism dead.
So just glazing over the fact that the theme of this event was to celebrate the First Amendment. It was about free speech. And somehow Donald Trump getting up and telling a few jokes is a tribute to like a constitutional violation. And then moments after the incident, the man himself, the threat to democracy, gets on stage and says this. Check it out.
The fact that they just unified, I saw a room that was just totally unified. It was in one way very beautiful, a very beautiful thing to see. But in light of this evening's events, I ask that all Americans recommit with their hearts in resolving our difference peacefully. We have to resolve our differences. I will say, you had Republicans, Democrats, independents, conservatives, liberals, and progressives. Those words are interchangeable, perhaps, but maybe they're not. But yet everybody in that room, and there was a tremendous amount of love and coming together. I watched, and I was very, very impressed by that. Madam Chairman, I just want to say you did a fantastic job. What a beautiful evening, and we're going to reschedule.
So for all the bashing and the gaslighting and the handkerchiefs, turns out he's the steadiest hand in the room. And this is where the flip-flopping begins and the media narrative really begins to unravel. Let's check that out. Real quick, do us a favor, hit that subscribe button. Let's go.
I thought it really interesting, and I agree with you that the president handled that press conference incredibly responsibly, and I was really pleased to see that. There was a moment, though, when our colleague Garrett Haake, I think, asked, is this just the cost of doing business now in politics or media? And the president said, yeah. And I found that really disheartening because it should not be the cost of doing business to be a political figure, someone who, a legislator or the president or a journalist, but it should not just be the cost of doing business. And I'm sure watching President Trump talk tough, right? Like I'm not a basket case over this, right? Sounded really good and felt really good. You want your leader to project that kind of strength. But we do need to admit something that Van Lathan was saying earlier, like we are sick and that we have been so desensitized to this that we say this is the cost of doing business. I say it all the time to my therapist.
It sounds like that therapist has a bit more work to do. But look, I'm happy that she gave the president credit and said he handled it well and appreciated the strength that he put forward because he deserved it. It was a unifying speech and she recognized that. But based on the gaslighting she was doing just an hour ago, it's spineless. It's infuriating. And this is the reason that we have no faith in our media today. But she's not the only one. Here are some seasoned politicians doing the same thing. Here's Timo Obama, but here's what he said before he flip-flopped. Let's check it out.
We are in an era of maximum warfare. Everywhere, all the time.
Everywhere, all the time, he says. And that was just a couple of days prior. And here's the cookie cutter response he gave when he got questioned the day after the incident. Check it out.
Violence is never the answer, whether it's targeted at the right, the left, or the center. We have issues that we have to work out amongst each other. That's embedded in the First Amendment that was being celebrated last night. But what is also embedded in the First Amendment is the right to peacefully protest and to petition the government peacefully.
Oh, the sensible Timu. Here's another one, Jamie Raskin.
Yeah, and you have, and as many of your fellow Democrats, have used some heated rhetoric against the president. And do you think twice about that when something like this happens?
What rhetoric do you have in mind?
Just talking about some of the fact that he, is terrible for this country and so on and so forth. I understand that that's your democratic right, but overall, do you
I have no
a responsibility?
personal problem with Donald Trump at all. I mean, I talk about the policies of this administration.
So he never used any rhetoric. What rhetoric? And he doesn't have a problem with Trump. I mean, it's truly incredible. But is it their fault or is it our fault for putting up with it? I'd love to hear from you. Let me know what you think in the comments. Check out our latest video, subscribe, and thanks for watching.